Well, I'm quite sad actually, because 19 years or 20 years come next year into our democracy. We have, in South Africa, the highest amount of our budget going to education. But then that's the end of the story. We don't have wonderful stories. Firstly, we wasted, I think, the first decade of our democracy trying to implement in South Africa programs that had failed elsewhere where they had been applied. The so-called OBE, outcome-based education. We simply thought that we could take those kinds of programs from where they were applied into South Africa without taking into account whether we had the wherewithal. And the irony of it all is that just to the north of us, the Zimbabwean education system was the best there was in the world. I mean, certainly in Africa at the time. Mugabe, for all his evils and imperfections with which he's being associated, made sure that the large amount of budget in his national budget went to education and into effective education. And as a consequence, you go into any restaurant, in any institution, in any service station, it's Zimbabweans all over. They are highly skilled. In fact, in South Africa, when we talked about the first black actuaries, you said to yourself, where did this African actuary come from? And then you discover, simply because some of the surnames are the same as South African surnames, that actually it's a Zimbabwean. So first thing is, firstly, we never invested in our education enough resources to train teachers to be able to implement our educational programs that we had decided to import from elsewhere without thinking. There is now no culture of learning, there is no culture of teaching. It's most heart-rending to find that this year, in 2013, there are still mud schools in South Africa. 40% of the schools in the Eastern Cape are still mud schools. A large number of our kids are still learning under trees. There are no equipment. Some places have never seen the computer, never mind the internet. It is a criminal act on the part of our communities, because it's both government and civil society that have led things to where they are today. And in fact, I gave a Harold Wolby Memorial Lecture in Cape Town on the 9th of October. And it was ironic that I read the I Am Prepared to Die speech by Mandela in 1963. And in that speech, he decries the education of black pupils under the apartheid order. And I was asking myself the question, and the audience I was addressing in my lecture, 20 years from when he uttered these words, where are we at? We still find that there are numbers of schools where from 2002, politicians kept on saying, by the end of this year, we will have done with mud schools. Come 2013, we still have the Minister of Basic Education saying we are going to be done by 2016 with mud schools.
So Rovani,
that is something we cannot afford to have.
Let me ask you, Rovani,